college football season. My name is Mike Browning. I'm the host of the College Football Road Trip at CFBRoadTrip.com. And it's hard to believe that we are at the end of the regular season, week 13 in the 2022. It's been a great year of games. It's been a great year of trips. Speaking of trips, I just came back from the Southern Mississippi game last weekend. It was a lot of fun being in Hattiesburg and the area around there. Be on the lookout for the blog about that trip sometime early to mid next week. Although this is the end of the regular season, I will be back next week as well to make my picks for all the conference championship games. In the meantime, we have a slate of games this week to get to, so let's go ahead and jump into this week's picks. And we're going to start off with a Thursday night game on Thanksgiving. It's an annual tradition. We have the Egg Bowl, which is featuring Mississippi State traveling to number 20, Ole Miss. These are two teams that are in the middle of the SEC, but that should make this a very competitive matchup. Ole Miss obviously is coming off a loss last week, so that has brought them back down a little bit. Mississippi State with Coach Leach, you never know when they're going to do better than expected or worse than expected. I think this is going to be a very competitive game throughout, a rivalry game. And these types of games, I usually give the edge to the home team. The home team in this one is Ole Miss, so I'm going to give them the edge. I have number 20, Ole Miss, winning at home over Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl on Thursday night. Next, a big slate of Friday games. I'm going to be picking two. Our first one is out at the Mountain West. We have Utah State traveling to Boise State. Both of these teams are pretty decent. Boise State, as I mentioned a couple times over the past week or two, has continued to just rise up in their level of play week by week after struggling at the beginning of the year. They're the home team in this one. They have a better record in this one. I think this one's a pretty straightforward win for the Broncos. I have Boise State winning at home over Utah State in Mountain West play. Next, let's head to an American Conference matchup between two ranked teams. We have number 19 Tulane traveling to number 24 Cincinnati. And this is a huge matchup to determine who will make it into the American Conference game next week. The winner is in, the loser is likely out. Tulane is coming off of their loss to UCF, so they've come back down to earth a little bit. Cincinnati has started to put things together a little bit more, plus they're the home team in this one, so I'm going to have to give the Bearcats the edge. I have number 24 Cincinnati winning at home over 19th ranked Tulane on Friday. Next, let's head to our Saturday matchups next. Starting with the Sun Belt, Fun Belt, we have Coastal Carolina traveling to James Madison. Obviously, this is the end of James Madison's first year in the FBS. I think they've put together an amazing year. At one point, they were even ranked. Coastal Carolina is struggled a little bit at the beginning of the year. They've started to put things together. I think they are moving to the Sun Belt Championship game next week, and that's going to occur with a win this week. So I have Coastal Carolina winning on the road at James Madison in Sun Belt play. Next, let's go to a matchup in the state of Kentucky. This is another rivalry game. We have 25th ranked Louisville out of the ACC traveling to Kentucky out of the SEC. Louisville was ranked 25th in this week's poll, and the poll for the football playoff rankings. I think that's a bit of a surprise because they did not play well at the beginning of the year, but now over the past few weeks they have looked very good. On the flip side, you have Kentucky, who at one point was up around number 10 in the rankings, and they have fallen hard, especially losing to Vanderbilt a couple weeks ago. That obviously was not a good look for them. The momentum is Louisville up, Kentucky down. That's going to continue this week. 25th ranked Louisville will win on the road at Kentucky. Next, let's go to the Apple Cup out of the state of Washington. We have 13th ranked Washington traveling to Washington State. Washington is ranked 13th, but I still think they're very far under the radar, even after their upset of Oregon a couple weeks ago because USC has all of the talk behind them. Washington is a very good football team. Washington State is not a bad football team by any means. They're in the middle of the Pac-12, which is a much improved conference this year. They are the home team in this one, but I think Washington just still has too much momentum on their side. They're having a very good year, and that year is going to culminate this week with a win over their in-state rivals. At 13th ranked Washington winning on the road at Washington State in the Apple Cup. Next, let's go to another in-state rivalry game. We have South Carolina out of the SEC traveling to 8th ranked Clemson. We know what South Carolina did this week, putting a wallop on Tennessee and moving Tennessee totally out of the chance of making the playoffs. The question is, can they do it 2 weeks in a row? They're traveling on the road to a Clemson team that is a team that has struggled most of the year, but again has slowly gotten better over the past few weeks. The question is, what South Carolina team will show up? Can they do it 2 weeks in a row? Since they're on the road this week and Clemson is the home team, I'm going to give Clemson the edge and say that South Carolina is not going to be able to pull it off for 2 weeks in a row, although I do expect it to be a very close and competitive game throughout. I have 8th ranked Clemson winning at home over South Carolina. Next, let's go to the Civil War out of the state of Oregon. We have 9th ranked Oregon traveling to 21st Oregon State. Again, 2 ranked teams. Oregon has all the talk behind them. Oregon State is another Pac-12 team that does not have very much talk behind them. I think that's one of the downfalls of playing in the Pac-12 and all those late night games and all those games on the Pac-12 network that nobody gets. Oregon State's a good football team that no one talks about, but Oregon is a better football team. So because of that, I'm giving them the edge in this one. I have 9th ranked Oregon winning on the road at 21st ranked Oregon State. Next, let's go to another matchup that features another Pac-12 team. This is 15th ranked Notre Dame traveling to 6th ranked USC. Last week's game between USC and UCLA was an amazing game, back and forth. You got to see what Caleb Williams and the USC offense could do. The question is always on the USC defensive side. That's what a Lincoln Riley team has. Great offense, struggling defenses. On the other side, you have Notre Dame back up to number 15 after losing to Marshall at the beginning of the year. Notre Dame is coming on strong. The question is, will they be able to go and beat the 6th ranked team in the country? I think the answer is no. Notre Dame has not played great teams the past couple of weeks. USC has played very good teams. I think that gives USC the momentum in this one, especially being the home team. 6th ranked USC will win at home over 15th ranked Notre Dame. And now, the huge game, the big game, number 3 Michigan traveling to number 2 Ohio State. This is obviously for the Big Ten East. The winner moves on to the championship game. The loser is probably out of the college football playoffs unless some weird stuff happens over the last couple weeks. So the question is, who's going to put it all on the line this week? Michigan struggled last week. They had to win on the last second field goal. Ohio State has looked very good the last couple weeks. Ohio State is the home team in this one. Ohio State, I think, has the better team. So I have to give Ohio State the win in this one. 2nd ranked Ohio State will win at home over 3rd ranked Michigan in a game that I will definitely be watching on Saturday morning. So that is this week's games. I hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving and a great holiday weekend. Go enjoy some games, eat some great food, and we'll talk to everyone next week for Conference Championship Weekend. Talk to you all later.